Welcome back to Sonic Creations, everyone. So we have a new game announced, Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. Now, my initial thoughts is that this is some sort of a transformed tease, like going across land and air and whatever, but it's also like across dimensions and other worlds, CrossWorlds, right? So I'm not exactly sure what they're talking about, if that pertains to the gameplay or if that pertains to the sort of underlying story or theme of Multiverse, right? Or if this is more so a celebration of all the racing games. And I think it's interesting how the name of the franchise has now reduced down to just Sonic R again, when it started that way, and now it's come full circle and it's back to that. And I think that's just a much simpler title, and especially if the Sega characters aren't going to show up, which that's a whole other thing I want to discuss. But yeah, this is giving me some sort of vibe of like maybe we're going to see some Riders stuff and some stuff from All Stars Transformed and some stuff from R, maybe the original Sonic R. So that would be really cool to see if you're allowed to just run as the character, or you can choose the car, or you can choose the extreme gear. I think that would be perfect. And the amount of customization that could come with that, with like skins for the boards or like maybe some of the classic stuff, but it's yet to be seen because we have no gameplay. It's just a little cinematic, and that's basically all it was. I know there's rumors that Hardlight is developing this and it's actually not Sumo Digital. It's not confirmed at this point, but it is really interesting to think about like the potential of another studio stepping in, such as Hardlight, who has a history of making pretty damn good mobile games, but they haven't really had the chance to go full like AA or AAA, and so it'd be really interesting to see how their past catalog of games influences this next title, if this really is them working on it. It would make more sense to me if it was Sumo Digital, seeing as how they have all the experience as of recent with these types of games, but it could be different because of the, I don't want to say failure, but sort of like underwhelming release of Team Sonic Racing. So I think this is definitely going to be some mishmash of all the racing games, is my initial thought, and I think there's going to be a lot of different types of traversal and different paths. If you look at something like Riders, it shares a lot of similarities with Transformed in a lot of ways, in the sense of you can take an air path if you have an air type character. In Transformed, it's like your vehicle will just automatically automate to whatever terrain you're going over. And so they have a totally different approach, where one is like specific to a type of character, like a flight type or a power type that can go through the walls and stuff and find secret pathways that way. So it'll be interesting to see like how they mishmash all of those ideas of the Riders stuff and kart racing type games into one thing. And what would that even be like? How would that even be fair? Like, how would they balance that? You know, there's a lot of questions that I have if that is the case, if that is a writer's board in the background of that cinematic trailer, which it does look like it, I'm not gonna lie. It also kind of looks like it could be Shadow's bike without the wheels, like just the middle part of the bike. It kind of looks like that at a certain angle. It's really hard to tell. It's clearly very hidden purposefully, but it is also framed perfectly in the shot to where like it kind of catches your attention. So I don't know if that's intentional or if it's just an Easter egg and it has no influence on the game and it has nothing to do with the extreme gear or the Riders stuff in general, which would be a shame because I think everyone is really hungry for that sort of racing game, because we just haven't had that in so long. I mean, if you really think about it, since the Kinect, Riders has been a dead franchise or sub-franchise. And I think its futuristic aesthetic, it's very specific art style. It's like, if you're gonna do the Free Riders thing again and not bring back the art style of Riders, and I think we're in for a very bland time, because I think a huge part of the appeal is the aesthetics of Riders. And if you don't have the aesthetics, but you just have the extreme gear and the models that are just sort of don't have that more lanky, stylistic look to them, I don't think it's gonna feel as much like Riders. And so I think that's the sort of disappointing thing, is that they've locked themselves to these modern models pretty much ever since the early 2000s, and now like they have stopped changing them since Unleashed. It's just been the same model getting slightly modified, you know, and so this is a topic for another video entirely. I don't think this is a big deal or anything. I'm just thinking that since it's a sub-franchise and people know what to expect from it, that like having a specific art style that's just in one sub-franchise should be okay. I don't think that would hurt the brand or anything like that. I know everyone has their opinions that the riders models are terrible, but it's like I think they serve their purpose for the type of game that it is and the type of gameplay you're performing. You know, it just makes sense to have a lankier, longer character, you know, that's more angular and more aerodynamic looking. So I was so hoping for it to just be something that's Riders exclusive, but I understand that like maybe Sega doesn't have that much confidence yet. Like they don't think that Riders will sell based on how Free Riders did, but I don't think that that's a fair assessment if that is their thinking, because, you know, I know that, you know, the projects that get greenlit, they're looking for something that's going to give them a huge financial success, and you're not going to get that from Riders compared to something like another All-Stars game or another, you know, regular kart racer type of game. You know, it's just, I feel like they've had more success with the All-Stars series, and so I just don't think that they would fully just pivot back to Riders and just forget about all that stuff just because Team Sonic Racing didn't do that well. I just don't think that's a fair assessment. But yeah, that is like how I feel about the whole thing and what I'm thinking, and who knows if Hardlight is developing it or not. I think they should be given a chance to do a lower level AAA or AA game, and just have it release on Steam as well, you know. That way people don't feel left out this time like they did with Dream Team, which was sort of like a success for people who have an Apple device or who have a way to play it on like their MacBook, you know, but like most people don't have that. So a lot of people missed out on that game, and so I think it'd be a really good opportunity for the next time they do something like that, it'd be released on all platforms if possible, you know. Even if they don't do a physical release, just have it as a downloadable thing. I think that'd be really great. But yeah, you know, that was a really unexpected reveal, and apparently Jeff Keighley said that he played it and it was pretty fun, and, you know, he seemed kind of confused at the Game Awards that like they didn't want to show gameplay. He was kind of laughing to himself a little bit, and I found that funny that he kind of knows like, oh, this is all you guys are going to get for a little while for some reason, even though I've already played it. You know, he's probably thinking to himself, they should really just show the gameplay, which I agree with. You know, it's a racing game at the end of the day, and I don't know why we need only just a cinematic trailer that honestly is so short that we don't even know what to expect at this point, and has a very mysterious name and subtitle that doesn't really like ring any bells like as to what this is, because some people now are speculating, oh, because of the design and the logo, that it's Prime related, and I'm like, it's very possible this could be Prime related, especially if it's developed by Hardlight. They already have all the assets for like the Prime characters they've been throwing in the Dash games and stuff like that, so I feel like it would be very easy for them to just up the fidelity of those models and just be like, oh, let's just do a Prime crossover with the racing stuff, and that would be really disappointing if that was the case. If that's really what they're gonna put all their money on the table is Prime, even though it didn't really do super well. Like, it's not a bad show by any means, but it wasn't something that like, oh man, everyone was talking about it and it was just so good. Like, you just didn't hear that buzz that should have been there, honestly, and I think the movies are doing so well that Prime just could not keep up with that. I don't know how else to explain it, and I also think that the multiverse trend is tiring out now. Like, we're coming to the end of that era, and it doesn't mean that we're never going to see multiverse stuff again, but I think, you know, it is getting a little tiresome. So that's what I'm kind of concerned about with this project, is that if it's just like, oh, here's some Prime characters and here's some like alternate characters like Terios or something, or oh, here's like this other thing and here's like all these skins and all this random stuff everywhere, and it's just sort of like Speed Simulator but like in a AAA game. I just don't know how that's gonna work, and is this gonna be a more like Sumo Digital type game, or is this gonna be something new entirely? It doesn't look like something new, honestly. The CGI trailer just looks like just another thing that's like themed in a shadow theme. You know, it doesn't really, honestly, it does not excite me that much, and that is probably a healthy response because we did not see any gameplay. So until we see something more concrete and we have facts to analyze of like, you know, like some interview with Takashi Iizuka or someone, you know, that can tell us what's going on in this game, until then, I don't know how to feel. I do think it's time for another racing game, and I think this is a perfect timing for it. So just want to end this off by saying that I am working on Sonic Doomsday Reimagined Episode 0, as I said in the reveal video, so that's going really well. Really excited to show you guys more of that project. It's just, I'm in the weeds of it. I'm like trying to figure things out and still figuring out some dialogue dialogue bits and some scenes in general, and so there's some more work to do, but I'm still shooting for my goal of like January or February release. We'll just have to see how things go. Obviously I'm going to be a little bit busy around the holidays, but then I'll be able to swing right back into working on it. In terms of future content to expect from me, I am going to cover a lot of movie related stuff, which is like the movie DLC, the fan animation of Sonic vs. Shadow that looks really, really good, and I haven't watched it yet, so I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on that. And then also the movie, when it releases, I'll be giving my thoughts as well. I'm not going to be able to see it opening day, but as soon as I watch it, you guys already know, I'll be on that and I'll give you guys my full review whenever that drops. And I have a lot of other content that I'll just keep secret that is in the works as well. It's just things have been a little slow because I have a lot of projects going on and it's just been a busy month, as you all know. So I think that about sums it up, but thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, creators. Peace out.